The Fed cut rates. What does it mean for the market? Tune into Tom's Take right now. You're definitely going to want to watch this one. So there's a lot going on in the world right now. COVID-19 is real. It's affecting day-to-day life. And the Federal Reserve and Fed Chairman Jerome Powell responded over the weekend with making a rarely seen Sunday rate cut, bringing the key interest rate for the Fed between 0 and 0.25%. So that's the Fed funding rate. That rate doesn't directly affect mortgage rates. That's the overnight rate that banks lend each other money and use that rate to calculate interest. So that's what the Fed did. That's the policy they have available to them. And there's a second thing they did I'll walk you through in a second. So what's that going to mean for the market? And the real answer is we don't know yet. If you look at what happened last week, we saw rates in the low threes. Then COVID-19 came into play. Rates jumped up. They were coming in around 4%. And the intention of the Fed is to stop that rise of interest rates with mortgages. And that's why they dropped the funding rate between 0 and 0.25%. So that's their intention there, and we'll have to see what happens as things start to move forward. We don't know exactly how the markets are going to react yet. It's something to keep your eye on. What I do know is this. The Fed did the same thing during the 2008 financial crisis, and that brought rates back down. They were very cognizant of that because they want the economy to keep moving. And what we know about housing is that if you look at the past 5 recessions, home prices only went down twice. One was in 2008. Obviously, that was because of bad lending choices and some things that shouldn't be happening. And the other recession, prices only went down a couple percentage points. So the market remained strong in those recessions if that's what we're walking into. The other thing the Fed did is they rolled out a $700 billion easing program where they're going to be buying about $500 billion in bonds and another $200 billion in mortgage-backed securities. And this is going to be over time. It's not happening like today or tomorrow, but they're going to be rolling this out slowly. And the intention behind that, according to Fed Chairman Powell, is that he knows those are the foundations of the financial system, those markets, because when the market becomes volatile, people start to invest in safer things like treasury bills. And because of that, they want to make sure that market still happens. That market still functions well, meaning the $500 billion that are being put into treasuries and the $200 billion in mortgage-backed securities. And because of that, they don't want the dysfunction of the market to spread into other factors of the economy. So they're hoping this keeps things going. They have a lot of capital sloshing around in there, and that keeps the market moving ahead so we can turn the tide of that rise in rates that we saw the end of last week. So that's the intention of what the Fed's doing. We'll have to see what it means for mortgage rates. A lot of people are anticipating it's once things calm down a little bit with coronavirus that we'll see rates come back to those lower numbers. Time will tell. That's what the Fed did, and what I know is they used the same strategies in 2008, and that turned the market and got the economy back on track. You got any questions about any of this? You know where to reach me. Otherwise, be back next week.